Okay, everybody, we are back with our Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday. We're going to be talking about how to get the fastest, healthy weight loss results possible while then also being able to maintain the results. And there's actually a big difference between the two. So there's a lot of diets out there. There's a lot of ways out there that you can lose weight extremely quickly. The problem is you absolutely tank your metabolism at the same time. So let's dive right into it. Let's go over just quickly why you don't want to do a crash diet. The problem with the crash diet is that you will lower your metabolic rate. So let's go over a little bit of that right now. You go on a keto-based diet and it's fairly low protein and it's very low carbs. All right, what happens? You lose weight. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. You hold less water weight, you lose more weight, and you say, great, it's working. Here's the problem. If you're a clinician, if you're a practitioner, you know this. But all the other people out there that are not running labs, they don't see that people's thyroid typically begins to tank. And their sleep gets thrown off. They end up with estrogen dominance, end up with lower testosterone levels. And it's not all just say, oh, no problem, I'll just go on hormones. That's not the answer. That is not the answer, because then you are masking a true underlying issue. So what we look at, and then we see this especially in women, is that their TSH starts to increase above a 1.5, above a 2.0. And we're like, oh, that is the metabolic rate decreasing right there. The brain, the hypothalamus, is telling the pituitary gland, we need to start producing more thyroid stimulating hormone because we are not converting or making as much T4 or converting it to T3, active thyroid hormone. That's a problem. Why? Because when your thyroid starts to become lowered, you start to get thinning hair, low mood, cold hands and feet, dry skin, brain fog, weight gain, water retention. Right? So if those are some of the symptoms you're feeling, there's a test that looks at that called the stress, mood, and metabolism test. You do it right at home. Simple test to complete. A little bit of saliva sample for the sex hormones and a finger prick. That's it for your thyroid, vitamin D3, and a couple others like hemoglobin A1C. So it's a great lab to run. If you think you're having issues with that, you can just go to stephencabral.com/labs or /shop. It'll just take you over to Equilife. And all of those, of course, come with a coaching call and a personalized plan as to what to do with those results. But that's what we don't want to do. Even things like the GLP-1 drugs, right? What do those do? They help you lose weight. Why? Well, okay, curbing appetite, it is helping with insulin response, no doubt about it. But what they don't tell you is that at least 1/3 of that weight is muscle loss. You might say, no big deal, I don't want the muscle either. You do want the muscle, right? It is really important. And the reason is that when you look at fat versus muscle composition, like if you're holding 5 pounds of fat, it's at least 5x the size of 5 pounds of lean muscle. They both weigh 5 pounds. That's what they weigh. But the composition is different, right? Fat is lumpier, it's thicker, it's larger. Muscle tissue is very dense. It's really important. And then that muscle tissue is burning 30, 40, 50 calories or so per pound or so per day, especially if it's active. So all of these things really matter because most people stop their GLP-1 drugs within 12 weeks. Right? Or at least within 6 months because of the expense, because of the GI issues, because of potential thyroid issues. They're worried about long-term side effects, whatever it might be. So here's the issue. When they stop the drugs, they don't just gain all the weight back. They gain all of it back and more. And the weight they gained back, even if it was a 1-for-1, they went from 180 down to 150 and back up to 180. What the problem is they didn't see that over that 30 pounds of weight loss from 180 to 150, 9 pounds of that was from muscle. Like on average, that's 30%, right? Or is that 30%? Yeah, not 30 pounds times 9 or times 30% is 9 pounds. And so when you look at that 180 now is 9 more pounds of fat because they lost the lean muscle tissue. That's a problem. I mean, it really is because now your metabolic rate is lower. So using what nature gave us, something like the GLP-1 tone system is all natural and it will not cause those same type of rapid muscle loss based issues. So really important that we look at that, but let's go over now some safe ways to lose the weight and also keep it off. Part of it is having a transition-based plan, right? So you can do fast or things like that. They're okay, not an issue, but you have to have a longer term plan. And so what I want to do is a little bit of a gentler approach, still going to get you the fast weight loss results that are guaranteed to work for you, but allow you then to make sure that you don't regain the weight and that you can maintain it. All right. So first thing first, we have to understand is that if we go on a diet plan, any diet plan in the world, it needs to be calorically lower in calories and also ideally lower in inflammation. The lower in calories will help us to lose the weight. The lower in inflammation will help us not to maintain toxic water weight. Because when you're inflamed, you're puffier. You hold more water, literally. That is what happened. Inflamed tissues hold more water. So we want both. All right. The second is, though, we can't be too calorie deprived for too long without tanking our metabolism. So one thing that we do in our practice that we've seen work for decades now is either an elimination diet or something like a functional medicine detox, which is an elimination diet with nutrients to help the body process a lot of the toxins and move them out of the body faster, guaranteed to lower those inflammation levels faster as well. So the one that we use, you can look for yourself. It's at stephencabral.com/detox. And there's a free course on it, completely free, at stephencabral.com/courses. Just click on the detox one. You'll learn more about it. Liver detoxification helps the kidney filtration. Excellent for the body. Again, not giving any medical advice, but that one's going to work. That's going to allow you to lose about 5 pounds in 7 days, and is probably going to help you lose 10 pounds or maybe up to 14, 15 pounds in 3 weeks. And this is safe, healthy weight loss, but it's also rapid weight loss. Now, again, if you're looking to lose 30 pounds in a week, this is not for you. This is a healthier plan. There are all sorts of very dangerous plans that are simply dehydration-based plans to help you lose more rapid water weight, but that's not ideal for your body. So what you're looking to do is just say, okay, well, what's the maximum I could really lose? It's not just like, yeah, some people lose 5 pounds in 7 days. We've had people lose 21 pounds in 21 days. But you know what? They were 250 plus pounds. So it depends on the individual. Because when you look at it, you say, yeah, you could lose 5 to 10% of your body weight in that 21 days. Okay, so if you're 150 pounds, you could lose up to 15 pounds. Could, but probably not, right? That's probably not going to be the case. It's going to be closer to the 7.5 to 10 pounds if you only weigh 150, right? But if you're 300 pounds, you absolutely could lose 20 to 30 pounds. And we've seen that over and over working with hundreds of thousands of people. So the goal isn't necessarily a specific amount. Your body's going to allow you to lose that weight. And if you don't, this is always a dead giveaway. If you do not lose weight on that functional medicine detox or a similar functional medicine detox, meaning by a functional medicine nutritional supplement company, then it is most likely a metabolic issue where your thyroid is already depressed. It is already low. And so at that point, run the stress metabolism test, get personalized results on what you need to do in order to rebalance those hormones. All right, but let's say we get you to lose the 5 to 15 pounds in the 21 days. Now what we're looking for is a refeeding meal. All right, so one meal, not a million meals, but one meal, not a whole day, one, right? And so that's going to be carbohydrate based. It can still be protein. It's not that it's not, but we're now going to reset those leptin and ghrelin levels. We're going to lower any high cortisol levels. We're going to then allow thyroid levels to reset normally. Then we're going to get back to a similar nutrition plan that, like on the detox, but we're going to add in something like a cup of wild blueberries or berries with breakfast, or maybe even a half hour or so before lunch, or maybe mid-afternoon before a workout. And why that's important is that we're going to start to move some more carbohydrates back in your diet, because you don't want to be on a low carbohydrate diet for life. You don't. It imbalances your gut microbiome. It increases all-cause mortality. This has been proven now over and over. Sure, you may lose the weight faster, but you have to be careful of going too low carb for too long. So we just start to add those back in slowly. And how much then is safe weight loss after the first 3 weeks? About 1% of your body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should be able to lose on average 1.5 pounds per week. That is the way that not only can you maintain the results, but you can keep the weight loss results coming. So now here's the nice thing. You say, well, all I wanted to lose was 10 pounds. Great. You lost the 10 pounds in the 3 to 4 weeks. So now what your job is, but go slowly. You can't go back to the same diet you were on, right? So no matter what diet you were on before, if you go from the diet or nutrition plan, whatever you want to call it, back to the same diet, you will go back to the same body. It's just the way that works, unless you've increased your exercise or you've rebalanced your hormones. So now what we want to do, we stay on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, but we go back to just very calculated, adding back in that 25 to 30 carbs per day. And again, there's already carbs in this plan, so it's just more, right? What does that equate to? 40 times 30 is 120, somewhere between 110, 120 calories more per day. Is that a big deal? No, it shouldn't be. So you shouldn't see your weight rebound wildly. Maybe a pound, pound and a half, no big deal. But then it stabilizes after a week. So now your goal is to say, okay, I'm just going to maintain that 10-pound weight loss. But now in week 2, you see yourself continuing to still lose a little weight. What does that mean? It means good. You get to eat a little bit more food, right? You get to add back in another 25 grams of carbs if you want a day, or you can add more protein if you'd like. Whatever works for you, that's totally fine. But if you want the weight loss, you added that 25 grams of carbs back in or so, call it 1 cup of wild blueberries or strawberries, cherries, whatever fruit that you like, because again, fruit is nutritious for us and it has all those polyphenols, so many great properties to it. So then what do we want? Well, we want to see that we're still losing on average 1% per week. Over the course of a month, that's where it should add up to the 1%. Or 4% total, right? So why does that matter? Because some weeks you're going to lose 1 pound, some weeks you lose 2 pounds, some weeks you might plateau. But you also every single week really will do well with not one day of a flex meals, but 1 flex meal per week. I've seen that work over and over in my practice too. We just call it a refeeding. Athletes do it all the time as well. It signals to the body that there is no starvation mode to continue to lose weight, feeds the gut microbiome, but the caveat is that it should have carbohydrates in there. Why carbohydrates? Carbohydrates feed the gut microbiome, drop cortisol levels, improve thyroid levels, rebalance stress, help with sleep, so much more. Carbs are what calm the body. I have a whole podcast on that. Protein does not calm the body. Fat does not calm the body. That doesn't mean that fat isn't vitally important for the nervous system and so much more, and protein so important for all the tissues of the body. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is carbohydrates have their place too. So this is a great way to look at this. And since most diets that you're on are going to be a little bit higher protein, maybe even higher fat, it's the carbs that we want to gently add back in, then to a larger degree at a refeeding meal. I can't tell you exactly how many they should be at a refeeding meal, but it might be 100 grams, right? And so that's what? 400 calories. It's not a massive amount. And it's in addition to the regular food that you're eating. So you should really be able to enjoy yourself 100, 150 grams of carbs at that meal. And you'll find out what works for you. And that, yes, you might see a pound of weight gain the next day. Don't get overly committed to that scale. That weight will come off because there's water retention. Most likely if you ate out, there's going to be sodium with that meal. So just be careful that you don't erase all of those results with one meal. That means you went overboard, right? And that's not usually just from the carbs. That's from the amount of fat that's added to these meals as well, especially when you eat out. But I'll tell you right now, this is the plan that we've put in place. This is the plan that we've used now for, I can tell you, over 25 years. Over 25 years, we've been helping clients transform their body. Sure, you can get more personalized plans written for you, but this is the overall plan that's going to allow you to sleep better, have better energy, you'll exercise, you'll be able to balance blood sugar levels, balance hormone levels, balance those thyroid levels, and so much more. So let me know if there's any questions. I've got lots of shows on intermittent fasting if you want to kind of calculate in how does intermittent fasting work on all of this, a whole categories of shows. You can find them at stevencabral.com/IF. Literally take you to all the intermittent fasting shows, teach you everything from what foods break an intermittent fast, which ones don't, how long you should fast for, should you skip breakfast, should you skip dinner, all of those things are there. Again, at stevencabral.com/IF. And for all of today's show notes, you can head on over to stevencabral.com/3435. Do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.